A haunting portrait marks the end of a life that was taken far too soon from this world. Grief fills the room as the family stands before the altar of their beloved daughter and sister. Her mother whispers that the suffering is finally over, but the pain remains deep in their hearts. Tears swell in her eyes as she wonders how their perfect life shattered into a million pieces. Flashbacks reveal a time when their house glowed with the warmth of two sisters coming home together. Little Ion bubbles with joy after spending a day at the amusement park full of rides and parades. The sweet girl apologizes for having fun alone because she missed her sister dearly that day. She smiles through her own illness and promises they will go together very soon. Their hands lock in a silent vow, proving that blood matters less than the love they share. Dinner time calls for the two princesses as their mother smiles with pride at her beautiful family. Happiness radiated from every corner of their home despite the shadows of sickness hiding in the dark. Reality strikes like a lightning bolt when the younger sister ends up fighting for her life in a cold bed. Darkness consumes the room when their mother delivers the news that changes everything forever. Cold fear grips her soul as she realizes her parents must leave her alone to save Ion. Promises of returning to normal feel like empty words as the family faces its darkest hour. Her mother promised everything would be fine, and she believed every single word back then. Years pass, and now the protagonist is just another high school student living in a quiet house. Sudden crashing sounds echo from the kitchen as she stops by the door with a worried expression. Chaos erupts inside the room because Ion refuses to eat anything the mother prepares for her. Screams about poison medicine fill the air as the sick girl pushes everyone away with all her might. This tragic routine only gets worse every day as the illness slowly destroys their family peace. Being alone becomes her new reality, so she just grabs the money left on the counter for lunch. Life moves forward at school, but the heavy atmosphere of her home follows her everywhere she goes. Someone calls her name during class and tells her to head down to the faculty office immediately. Classmates whisper about the girl who always looks like she is carrying the weight of the world. Faculty members explain that her mother called with an urgent message and she needs to answer it fast. Anxiety spikes as she holds the receiver and prepares for whatever news is waiting on the other side. Mom demands that she leave school right now because her sister is looking for her desperately again. She races back home and finds a terrifying scene in the backyard under the dark and cloudy sky. Fear paralyzes her entire body as her eyes widen at the sight of her sister acting like a monster. Blood drips from a heavy hammer as Ion welcomes her sister back with a chilling and distorted smile. Horrified eyes fix on the bloody mess as the protagonist witnesses the brutal remains of an innocent creature. Ion whispers about a dark curse while explaining that using a living sacrifice makes the ritual much stronger. Confusion turns into pure terror as she questions why her sister is talking about occult magic all of a sudden. Purple eyes glow with a demonic light as the sick girl asks if there is someone her sister wants gone forever. Madness reflects in that twisted gaze, and the protagonist realizes her sister has truly become a monster tonight. Panic grips her throat as she realizes the sweet girl she once knew has been replaced by a literal nightmare. Rain lashes against the glass during a long night that feels like an endless nightmare trapped in this quiet house. Morning light fails to bring comfort since the girl wakes up feeling completely drained and physically broken. Shivers run down her spine and she wonders if a sudden fever is the reason for her heavy and aching limbs. Footsteps echo through the silent hallways as she desperately calls for her parents to find any sign of life. Darkness clings to every corner of the living room and only a small phone light cuts through the eerie shadows. Anxiety rises with every missed call because it seems like her entire family vanished into thin air overnight. Her eyes drift toward the kitchen wall where a strange calendar entry catches her attention in the dim light. A red star marks the checkup day and reveals a disturbing truth about what happened to Ion today. Exhaustion weighs heavy on her eyelids as she stares into the glowing screen of her phone. The hollow sound of a voicemail greeting is the only thing answering her desperate calls for help tonight. A doctor confirms that a severe case of the flu is the reason for her sudden physical collapse. Confusion fills the man's face when he notices the young girl is sitting all by herself in the clinic. Tears blur her vision as he asks the one question that feels like a sharp knife to her heart. Cold hospital lights shine down on her small figure as she handles the medical paperwork without any support. Loneliness swallows the protagonist whole in a lobby crowded with families who actually care for one another. Rain pours down on the sidewalk as she finally spots two familiar figures waiting under the dim streetlights. Angry shouts erupt from her mother, who demands to know where she has been hiding all this time. Fire erupts in her eyes as she finally snaps at the people who ignored her cries for help for days. Excuses fall from the woman's lips about Ion's condition being far more important than anything else today. Pain explodes from her lungs as she screams into the storm that she is also suffering from a terrible illness. Words of betrayal echo through the empty streets since she stands trembling in the freezing and unforgiving downpour. Heartbreak forces her to ask why they treat her like a ghost instead of a daughter who needs their love. Shadows hide their faces as the protagonist realizes her existence means absolutely nothing to her own family. Her father dismisses her pain as a simple cold without even looking her in the eyes properly. Mom grabs her arm and says they have zero time to waste since Ion is the only priority today. Faded photographs make her wonder if she is actually a part of this heartless family at all. They drag her up the stairs like a broken doll despite the fact that her body is burning with fever. Rain mixes with her tears as she questions why her own parents are treating her with such cruelty. Anguish consumes her soul as she searches for any spark of love in their cold and distant expressions. The mother pulls her toward a dark doorway where a terrifying presence waits for her in the shadows. Exhaustion fills her voice as she tells her mother that she cannot handle this nightmare any longer. Shadows dance around the bed where a predator waits to pounce on its next innocent victim. Ion greets her with a twisted smile and those demonic purple eyes that radiate pure madness. Crimson stains on the floor reveal that another ritual has already been completed in this cursed room. Those glowing eyes lock onto her as the monster asks what kind of stories they should share tonight. Realization hits like a truck because her sister is no longer human but a creature of absolute insanity. Memories of the past twist into a mockery as the demon taunts her about the life she lost forever. Every ounce of patience finally snaps as she screams at the monster to stop this madness right now. Ion stares at her sister and asks if she only cares about her own pathetic problems in this world. This sick girl screams that her own life is fading away specifically because of her sister's selfish actions. Tension thickens as she demands to know how much longer this unbearable madness will continue to haunt them. Memories fade away as the monster admits she cannot even remember the sweet girl her sister used to be. Moonlight spills into the room where the bond between two sisters finally shatters into a million sharp pieces. Those purple eyes lock onto the protagonist as the demon calls her a monstrous person with zero empathy. Tears stream down her face as the weight of these cruel accusations crushes whatever remains of her broken heart. Disbelief fills her voice when she repeats the word monster after looking at the creature sitting on that bed. Every step forward feels heavy as Ion asks who is truly responsible for turning her into this nightmare. Cold words hit like a hammer as she blames Sohee Ryu and their parents for the darkness inside her soul. Whispers of death fill the air when the monster asks if her sister simply wants her to disappear forever. Fury erupts like a volcano as Sohee finally screams for the girl to go ahead and die right now. Silence falls over the room when the cruel words finally land and pierce through the demonic facade of her sibling. Action erupts as her body finally gives up and she crashes onto the cold floor with a loud thud. Darkness looms over the fallen girl as Ion stands tall like a shadow watching her sister lose consciousness. Ion looms over her sister as she whispers that she will finally give her exactly what she wants today. Purple demonic energy flares in her eyes as she promises to grant that dark wish with a terrifying smile. Heavy gasps fill the air as the girl on the floor struggles to comprehend this sudden nightmare. The possessed girl walks away into the cold night, leaving the house behind without looking back even once. Tears stream down her face despite the monster hiding inside her soul because some part of her is still human. Agony and confusion twist her face as she lies there helpless against the supernatural forces at play tonight. That chilling moment was the very last time anyone ever laid eyes on Ion alive in this world. Flashing blue lights cut through the heavy rain as police officers search the dark bridge for any sign of the girl. Officers discover a pair of muddy white sneakers abandoned by the riverbank, suggesting a truly tragic ending. Rain soaks their clothes as the detective asks the grieving parents if these shoes belong to their missing daughter. Guilt crushes Sohee as she wonders if her sister really died because of the cruel words she spoke that night. Silence reigns in the funeral hall where the family gathers to say goodbye to the girl who left too soon. Mom places a firm hand on her shoulder and whispers that the long nightmare is finally over for both of them. They stand before the altar as the parents tell So-hee not to worry about anything ever again from now on. She stares at the portrait and simply agrees that Aang would want everyone to find true happiness at last. One dark question lingers in her mind as she stares at the final portrait of her dead sister tonight. Her parents stand there with twisted and chilling smiles as if they were actually celebrating a victory today. Aang is gone, but the family photo remains as a painful reminder of the life they used to share together. Daily life continues without a single change, as if the missing sister never existed in this house at all. Morning light hits the yellow flowers in the garden, making the world look far too beautiful for such tragedy. Peaceful birds and gentle sunlight fill the air as someone takes care of the plants outside her window today. So-hee wakes up feeling like a stranger in her own home with a heavy heart that refuses to heal properly. Mom enters the room with a warm smile and asks how her dear daughter is feeling after such a long rest. Warm tea sits in a ceramic mug that her mother offers to bridge the gap between their broken souls tonight. That gentle expression on her mother's face feels wrong after the nightmare they just went through together. Questions burn inside her soul because she cannot understand why they were smiling so much at the funeral hall. Darkness becomes her only companion as she curls up in a corner to hide from the reality of this silent house. Each step inside her sister's empty bedroom brings a sharp pain that cuts deeper than any physical wound. Time moves slowly in the shadows where the clock shows 5:35 while she stares into the hollow void. Cold floor tiles meet her knees as she struggles to find the strength to stand up and face another empty day. Her fingers trace the marks on the wall where her sister used to scratch the surface every single day. Tears fill her eyes as she whispers the name of the girl who brought so much chaos into their home. She peels back the wallpaper and reveals a hidden layer of ancient talismans glowing with an eerie light. Every inch of the room is covered in these cursed papers, making her wonder what else they were hiding. Memories return to a time when So-hee was the one trapped in a hospital bed fighting a mysterious illness. The father shouts in frustration because the doctors cannot find any logical reason for her failing health. So-hee looks at her broken parents and begs them to stop fighting in the middle of the cold room. Both parents try to hide their despair by lying about the nature of their arguments as she watches them. Outside the window the world moves on, but the clinic atmosphere feels like a suffocating cage. Guilt consumes her father as he strokes her hair and apologizes for things he cannot even control yet. He cries through his words and wishes that he could take the pain away to suffer in her place. This side of their pain makes her believe that her own existence is nothing but a burden to the family. Darkness surrounds the couple as they stare at their dying child with expressions of pure and utter defeat. Suddenly a strange whisper or a shadow on the floor suggests that a dark solution is finally within reach. They return with a small girl named Aang and claim she will be part of the family from this day forward. Memories of the past flood back to the time a strange girl first appeared in that sterile hospital room. Tiny lips tremble as the young child tries to find the right words to greet her new and very sick sibling. This was Aang, a child with purple eyes who didn't share a single drop of blood with this broken family. Desperate parents claim they brought her home just so their dying daughter could finally have a friend her own age. Kindness radiates from the little girl as she leans over the bed to ask if the constant pain is too much. Suddenly she perks up and mentions a special surprise she carried all the way to the clinic just for her sister. Colorful candies and sweet treats spill across the white sheets like a mountain of pure sugary joy for the patient. Excited hands show off every single favorite snack while promising that even better things are waiting for them at home. Bitterness stirs in the protagonist's heart as she realizes her parents are already sharing secret moments with this stranger. Those deep purple eyes sparkle with a light that feels almost too bright for someone who just joined this household. Panic fills the air when the newcomer offers to call for help because she fears her sister might be fading. Shock leaves her speechless because no one ever cared this much about her suffering in such a long time. Dark thoughts consume the room since she believes her own life is already reaching its final and tragic conclusion. Daily visits from the sweet girl make her realize that Aang is truly a saint sent to replace her. Heartbreak leads to a cruel conclusion that the family would be much happier if this perfect girl stayed, and she vanished. Pale skin and tired eyes reflect the long days spent inside those suffocating hospital walls. Aang reaches out with a weak hand to pat her sister's head as a small sign of gratitude. Warm sunlight filters through the window as the sick girl admits that seeing her sister brings her peace. Loneliness usually consumes the ward, but everything feels better whenever they spend time together like this. Silence hangs in the air for a second. So-hee promises to visit every single day without fail because her sister's smile is the only thing that matters. Desperation fills her voice since she needs someone to lean on when the weight of the world becomes too much. A heart-wrenching plea escapes her lips as she begs Aang never to leave her alone in this cold reality. Metal slides through the fruit with a sharp sound as their mother prepares a snack in the corner. Family bonds seem unbreakable in this quiet room where the sisters share a book full of colorful stories. Laughter erupts from both girls as they forget about the illness for just a few precious moments today. Curiosity sparks in Aang's eyes when she asks about their plans for the day she finally goes back home. Deep thoughts trail off as she dreams. Amusement parks and bright lights top her list of places to visit as soon as her body feels strong again. Dreams of the zoo and the aquarium fill her mind as her hand rests gently on the pages of the storybook. Deep down she wonders if those happy dreams of visiting parks and zoos will ever become a reality for her. Mom sits by the bedside cutting an apple, but her hands tremble with a grief that words cannot even describe. Silence fills the room as the woman stares at the fruit without moving a single muscle for a long time. Chaos erupts when the hospital monitor starts beeping as a signal that her heart is finally giving up tonight. Desperate screams echo through the hallway as the parents beg the heavens to save their precious little girl. Dad grabs the doctor by his coat and demands that he performs a miracle to keep his daughter alive right now. Medical staff try to calm the grieving family as a mysterious young child watches everything from the corner. A tiny girl shakes with fear as a strange hand rests on her shoulder to guide her through this nightmare. Vision blurs and her mind begins to spin as the world around her fades into a gray and cold void. Every single breath feels like a heavy mountain crushing her chest as she struggles to stay conscious for a bit. Faces of doctors loom above her like ghosts while the bright lights of the ceiling blind her failing eyes. Panic surges through her veins because there are still a million things she wanted to experience before the end. Cries for her parents escape her lips, but her voice is too weak to cut through the heavy air of the clinic. Frosty breath clouds the plastic mask as she whispers a final plea to stay in this world just a little longer. Tears stream down her pale cheeks as the terrifying realization hits that she truly does not want to die today. Desperate prayers fill the air as the couple begs for a miracle to save their dying child from certain doom. A chilling beep echoes through the room as the heart monitor shows a flat line that marks the end of her life. Cold mechanical hums from the hospital ceiling are the only things left in this place of absolute tragedy. An empty seat stands as a silent witness to the family who just lost their most precious treasure tonight. Aang sits beside her sister as the pale moonlight illuminates the final moments of their shared journey together. Tears well up in the younger girl's eyes as she asks if her older sibling is feeling any better now. So he whispers a faint lie and says she is doing just fine even though her body is already fading away. Her shaking hand touches Aang's face as she tells the little girl not to worry about the dark future. From the doorway the girl hears her parents screaming at the doctor for some kind of answer. Purple eyes shimmer with a mixture of fear and sadness as she finally understands the gravity of this nightmare. Grief turns into pure madness as the mother grabs the doctor and demands that he brings her daughter back. Both parents lose their minds and yell at the medical staff to perform the impossible task of cheating death. Somewhere in the dark corridor the young child feels the heavy weight of her family's crushing despair. Shadows dance around her small figure as she stares into the void with an expression of pure and utter shock. Small white sneakers stay still as the girl sits on a stool to face the cruel reality of this tragedy. Tiny hands grip the white hospital sheets as the weight of a heavy secret begins to take hold of her innocent soul. Aang stares into the void as her eyes begin to glow with a demonic light that no longer belongs to a human child. Both parents stand over the bed with expressions that look more like cold calculation than genuine worry for their kid. Her mother leans in close to ask if the sight of her older sister's suffering is too much for her little heart to bear. Twisted smiles spread across their faces as they offer the young girl a chance to help her sister through dark means. Shadows of twisted trees reach toward a blood-red moon as the family walks deeper into a nightmare with no return. Strange symbols on her sleeves pulse with power and the little girl whispers that the physical pain finally vanished. Bright morning light fills the clinic as the doctor announces a miraculous recovery that defies every medical law. So he sits up in her bed feeling completely refreshed, but she notices her parents acting strange around the doctor. Confusion clouds her mind since Aang has not walked through that hospital door for such a long and suspicious time. Small sneakers click against the cold floor tiles as a familiar presence finally approaches the hospital room door. Hope ignites in her golden eyes because she finally hears the sounds of someone running toward her with great speed. Aang leaps onto the bed with a loud shout and crashes into her sister with all the energy of a healthy child. So he pulls the girl into a tight embrace and asks if the sickness has truly left her little body for good this time. Purple fire erupts in those tiny eyes as Aang laughs about how glad she is to see her sister healthy once again. So he leans in and notices that her sister's face looks completely different after this miraculous event today. Heavy footsteps echo in the room as the father promises that the nightmare is finally over for their broken family. Tears stream down her face because the weight of this dark mystery is starting to crush her entire soul tonight. Those glowing purple eyes and the chilling expressions of her parents prove they crossed a line of no return today. Morning light hits the garden where the flowers bloom as if the darkness of the previous night never even happened. Confetti explodes in the air the moment she enters the house to celebrate her return to a normal life with them. Parents greet the protagonist with warm faces and announce that they are finally a complete family once again. Aang holds up a massive strawberry cake with a grin that looks far too innocent for a girl who was a demon. Shock leaves her completely speechless since the scene before her eyes feels like a dream instead of reality tonight. Relief washes over her heart and she closes her eyes to savor this rare moment of peace within these cursed walls. The protagonist takes the gift from her sister and hopes that the pain is finally left in the past. Delicious dishes cover the wooden table as the warm steam of home-cooked food fills the entire living room area. Everyone sits together for a quiet meal and the mother urges her daughter to eat every single bite of this feast. Excitement bubbles over as the little girl offers her sister the best parts of the meal with a shaking and happy hand. This simple thank you marks the first time in ages that she feels like she actually belongs with these people again. So he looks at her sister and asks if everything is actually okay with her health today. Suddenly a sharp pain strikes her throat and she begins to choke on the food without warning. Dishes rattle on the table as her parents stare with wide eyes at their daughter's sudden collapse. A fragile bowl shatters against the floor as rice spills everywhere in the middle of the room. Pure terror fills her gaze when she realizes that her body is no longer following her own commands. Those yellow and purple eyes lock onto her like predators watching a dying animal in the dark. Pressure builds in her lungs and she whispers about a strange sensation burning inside her throat. Shadowy figures loom over her and the atmosphere turns cold as a grave within seconds. Chills run down her spine because every single thing about this happy dinner feels like a trap. Steam rises from the plates, but the once delicious meal now looks like a pile of cursed offerings. A cold blade flashes in the dim light as someone prepares to finish a secret task. Dark memories reveal a shaman performing a forbidden ritual to trade one life for another. Little Aang screams in agony as blood stains her clothes during that horrific night of magic. That woman watches the scene with glowing eyes and a heart consumed by total darkness. Sunlight hits the white walls of the cathedral as life goes on for everyone outside these cursed gates. A kind man in robes bows down and finally meets the girl everyone was talking about today. Her parents explain that her health was always very poor, so they could only bring her to the church right now. Warm light hits the room as the pastor reaches out to pat the child who looks lost in this holy place. Silence fills the cathedral while the adults discuss things that seem far too serious for these little kids. Mom suggests that the sisters should go and explore the area while she finishes her conversation with the priest. Tiny hands grab her sleeve as Aang whispers that they should definitely escape this boring room immediately. Two boys watch in total confusion as the girls sprint through the halls like they are on a mission from heaven. Sunlight dances on the white tower and the blue sky looks peaceful above the secrets hiding behind those walls. Both girls crouch in the dirt to build a massive sandcastle using nothing but their bare hands and imagination. Muddy fingers emerge from the pile of sand as they carefully finish the final tunnel for their little kingdom. Joy radiates from their faces because they finally finished the impossible project without breaking a single part. Laughter echoes across the garden when the sisters celebrate their victory with a high five and bright smiles. Ayang admits with wide eyes that she never experienced anything as fun as playing in the dirt with her sister. Every single game feels like a brand new world to the girl whose purple eyes glow with genuine and pure delight. So he looks at her little sister and begs her to stay strong because she cannot lose this happiness ever again. Ayang nods quietly and agrees to stay behind as she watches her sister prepare for a short trip. So he grabs the blue bucket and promises to return with enough water to finish their grand masterpiece. The younger girl smiles bright and waves goodbye as she tells her sister to hurry back to the playground quickly. Tiny fingers press against the damp earth as she tries to keep the structure standing tall all by herself. Peace surrounds the lonely child as she continues to work on the castle under the warm afternoon sun. Deep purple eyes widen in surprise when a sudden and harsh voice interrupts her quiet moment of joy. Cruel feet smash through the sand and destroy hours of hard work with one single and violent kick. Shock freezes her heart as the bullies call her a freak for simply playing alone in the dirt today. That older sister walks back with the water and remembers how terrifying her parents looked last night. Adrenaline surges as she races toward the playground to check on the sibling she left all alone. Pure horror fills her golden eyes when she finally spots a group of older boys surrounding the little girl. Cowardly bullies corner the defenseless child and mock her for being a beggar who eats food from the trash. One boy grabs her clothes and shoves her backward as he laughs at her pathetic and trembling figure. Tears well up in those demonic eyes as she realizes that the world is a much crueler place than she thought. Fury erupts as he dives into the middle of the mess and demands to know what they are doing to her sister. A group of neighborhood bullies finds themselves facing the wrath of a protective older sister for the very first time. Fire burns in her golden eyes as she stares down anyone brave enough to lay a finger on her precious little sibling today. Mud stains the ground and proves that these heartless kids were trying to ruin Ayang's day with their cruel and petty games. So he pulls the trembling girl close and threatens to report every single one of them to their parents for this behavior. Victory belongs to the sisters as they walk away from the defeated bullies and the sun begins to shine over the horizon. Gratitude fills the young girl's heart as she tightly grips the hand of the only person who actually stands up for her soul. This peaceful moment in the garden feels like a temporary escape from the dark secrets waiting for them back at the house. Curiosity takes over as the protagonist asks about the identity of those mysterious children who caused such a scene earlier. Ayang admits they were just old acquaintances as the shadow of the tall church steeple stretches across the silent pavement. Suspicion grows when the older girl wonders why such a sweet child would keep this bullying a secret from the entire family. Fear of abandonment haunts the little girl as she whispers that she never wanted to become a burden to their busy parents. Reality shatters for So-hee when she hears her sister admit that she knows they do not share the same blood or past life. Tears pool in those demonic purple eyes as Ayang confesses her deepest fear of being replaced by a more perfect child. Silence falls between them as the protagonist finally starts to see the fragile human girl hiding behind the dark facade. Both sisters realize they are just lonely souls fighting a world that never truly gave them a fair chance to find real peace. The sun shines brightly above the cathedral as the clouds drift slowly across the endless blue sky today. Their hands grip tightly as the two sisters share a silent promise that nothing in this world will ever separate them. So he looks at the younger girl and wonders if her sibling truly believes that their bond is fake or just a dream. Golden eyes reflect the light as she declares that Ayang will always be her sister no matter what the adults say. Ayang listens with a heavy heart because she knows there is absolutely nobody else who could ever take her place. Tears well up in her eyes as she whispers the name of the only person who ever showed her true kindness in this life. Both girls stand under the warm sun as the younger one vows to do anything for her sister even if it means suffering. Darkness returns to the memories where a cold room holds the secrets of a family desperate enough to sacrifice a soul. Fear grips the little girl as those purple eyes glow with a terrifying light that signals the beginning of the end. So he watches the scene with a frozen expression as she realizes the true price of her own survival during those days. The trembling child begs her mother not to throw her away like a broken toy after the job is done. Mom stands there with a cold and silent back as she tells the girl that obedience is the only path left for her now. Horror strikes the protagonist as she witnesses the moment her parents turned a child into a weapon of pure darkness. Sudden movement breaks the silence when a heavy door swings open to reveal the empty space where a life once existed. Steps echo through the hallway as she demands to know where her sister is going before the shadows swallow the truth. Mom calls out her name as a cold tension fills the air between the family members tonight. Everyone gathers around the bed since Aang is feeling incredibly anxious and needs comfort right now. Her mother points toward the older sister to show just how much everyone truly cares for the sick child. Fear flickers in the girl's eyes as she simply agrees with whatever her mother says in this moment. Those yellow eyes shine with a terrifying light as the woman claims they are all a very happy family. A sudden trip to the amusement park becomes the new plan to cheer up the girl trapped in that bed. Darkness hides behind that motherly mask and a chilling aura begins to consume the entire bedroom area. Excitement finally erupts from Aang as her purple eyes glow with a desperate need for some joy today. So he watches her sister and wonders if this sudden happiness is just a beautiful lie from their parents. Bright lights and loud screams of joy fill the air under the massive shadow of a towering Ferris wheel. Shopping bags and a soft teddy bear sit as proof of a perfect day that cost a very heavy price. Silence fills the car on the way back as the exhausted children finally close their eyes for a moment. Words of caution fall from her lips to ensure that her daughter stays obedient throughout the coming days. Whispers about a dark and shared secret hang in the air while the younger sister sleeps peacefully beside her. Small hands grip tight as the protagonist realizes that her life now belongs to this terrifying woman forever. The mother whispers praise to the little girl about how quickly she adapted after leaving her old home behind forever. A bright Polaroid captures the family smiling at a carousel as if they were the most normal people in the entire world. Sunlight streams through the large windows as the woman realizes the morning is moving faster than she expected today. Mom strokes the child's hair and mentions that so he must be incredibly excited to finally head back to her classes. Everything seems perfect as the mother helps the young girl with her backpack and asks if she is truly happy now. Awkward tension fills the air as the protagonist watches her younger sister stand there in her purple pajamas today. Confusion strikes the older girl when she hears that Aang will not be joining her for school this morning after all. Those glowing purple eyes look tired as the mother explains that a sudden fever is keeping the little one in bed. Aang promises she will be fine with some rest as the mother tells So-hee not to worry about anything today. Small sneakers wait by the door as the younger sister bids a quiet farewell before the house falls into total silence. Night falls over the bedroom where the mother sits up writing in a secret notebook instead of getting any sleep at all. The father wakes up and wonders what kind of deep thoughts are keeping his wife awake in the middle of the dark night. A twisted smile spreads across her face as she claims to be planning for the bright and happy future of their family. Ink hits the page revealing a chilling report about how So-hee is improving and why Aang is a necessary sacrifice. Years pass by in a flash and the world outside looks peaceful as the sun shines over their seemingly quiet home. So-hee rushes forward clutching a small packet of medicine as she calls out her sister's name. Sunlight hits the pavement as she catches up to the girl who almost forgot her essential morning routine. Mom insisted that this treatment must go everywhere with Aang to keep the darkness at bay. Purple eyes drift toward the hand offering the pills, but the younger girl seems completely detached from reality. Aang finally takes the bag with a faint whisper of thanks before they head toward the waiting vehicle. Traffic moves along the busy street as a sleek black car prepares to take the sisters to their next destination. Sitting in the back seat, the older sister reminds her sibling once more to never skip a single dose. Something catches her eye through the tinted glass as they pass by the familiar scenery of the neighborhood. Voices fill the car as So-hee points out a friend and asks her father to stop the vehicle right here. Dad agrees with a smile, but the atmosphere inside the car remains heavy with Aang's silent and eerie presence. Doors swing open as she steps onto the sidewalk, feeling the fresh air hit her face for the first time today. Bright smiles light up her expression as she waves a final goodbye to the sister who stays in the shadows. Fast footsteps echo as the girl sprints toward her classmate Jimin without noticing those cold eyes in the distance. Surprise fills the classmate's face as the two girls decide to walk toward the school building together. Happiness radiates from the pair as they walk away, leaving the silent girl behind in that dark and cold vehicle. Her purple eyes glow with a cold light as she stares into the void with zero emotion in her heart. A heavy silence fills the vehicle until her father calls her name to break the eerie tension between them. His hands grip the wheel and he mentions that her mother wants her to focus entirely on her recovery today. Taking care of herself and swallowing that medicine seems like the only thing they care about anymore. Dad asks about her life at school, but his voice feels distant, like they are two strangers trapped in a box. Slender fingers slide the plastic bag into the dark corner because she has no intention of following their rules. Everything feels the same to her as the car passes through the gray city under a heavy and depressing sky. The bag hits the cold ground with a dull thud since she discarded her only link to sanity without a second thought. Sunlight filters through the school windows, but the atmosphere remains cold and unforgiving for the mysterious girl. Classmates swarm her desk with gossip about some random boy who apparently fell in love with her at first sight. They beg for an introduction as the girl stares at her screen with an expression that could freeze a volcano. A bright photo shows a much happier time when the two sisters shared a bond that wasn't broken by dark rituals. Dozens of messages from her older sister go ignored as the light of the phone illuminates her pale and tired face. Confusion fills her friend's voice when she notices that Aang is completely lost in her own twisted thoughts. Those demonic eyes snap upward as she asks if listening to this useless human chatter is even necessary for her. Gossip spreads through the hallways as the girls whisper about the rich loner sitting by the window today. Sudden flashes of purple eyes haunt her mind because the memory of that demonic presence refuses to fade away. School feels like a cage as she stares at the sky, wondering if her sister is actually resting at home right now. Bells ring and students flood the streets to enjoy the freedom of a warm and sunny afternoon. Laughter fills the air as everyone shares stories about their plans for the weekend without a single care. High above the crowd, a dark silhouette watches from a lonely window like a predator waiting for its chance. Startled by a sudden thought, the girl grabs her phone and prepares to leave the classroom in a massive hurry. Those classmates watch with judging eyes as she rushes past them without saying a single word to anyone. Jealousy burns in their hearts because they think she acts like a queen just because her family has massive wealth. Constant notifications light up the screen as Aang demands to know every single detail of her sister's day. Jimin notices the endless vibration as they walk down the hall and mentions the constant flood of texts. That persistent clinginess feels suffocating to outsiders, but so he just gives a sad and tired smile in return. Since the poor girl is always sick and lonely, she has no one else to talk to in this big world. Memories flood back to the hospital ward where a young Aang never left her side for a single moment. Small gifts and sweet candies were the only things that kept her spirit alive during those dark and painful days. Sandals wait behind the wall as a mysterious presence lurks in the quiet corners of the school building today. Jimin stammers through her words because a sudden and heavy chill is crawling down her entire spine right now. There she stands by the stairs like a ghost from a past life that should have remained buried under the ground. Demonic purple eyes pierce through the dim light as the girl stares at her sister with an expression of pure void. So he stays frozen in place as she watches her sister turn around to vanish into the crowded hallway once again. The friend admits that she has been feeling a very strange and disturbing energy coming from that girl for a long time. That mysterious figure moves toward the stairs with an unnatural grace that makes every single witness feel uneasy. Someone wonders if the way Aang looks at people is just a part of her strange and terrifying personality lately. Outside on the dusty field, the students gather under the hot sun for another long and exhausting gym class today. She yawns and complains about the gym class because she wishes for quiet study time instead of this midday heat. Sharp and piercing sirens cut through the afternoon air and catch everyone's attention in a single heartbeat. Mechanical echoes of an ambulance siren bounce off the walls as the vehicle rushes toward the main gates today. Students stop their games and wonder what kind of emergency could bring a medical team to their quiet school today. A large crowd of curious teenagers begins to form around the red vehicle to witness the unfolding drama at the entrance. Suddenly, a panicked boy sprints toward them, screaming that the freshmen are losing their minds in total chaos right now. Shouts erupt through the hallway as a bloody blade lies forgotten on the cold and dusty floor. Terror strikes because a crazy freshman just finished a classmate using a sharp knife in the middle of school. Sunlight hits the building as if this place is not currently witnessing a total and absolute bloodbath today. Inside a cramped stall, the mysterious girl checks her phone and thinks about how annoying Jimin is today. Anger boils inside her heart as she wonders if that girl actually knows the truth about their dark family secret. Each second feels like an eternity because she decides to watch her target much more closely from now on. A massive wave of ice-cold water crashes down from above and completely soaks her entire body within a few seconds. Shivers run through her frame as she stares into the void with those glowing purple eyes full of pure shock. Someone kicks the door open to reveal a fallen bucket and the cruel laughter of people waiting outside. Water drips from her clothes as the girl ignores the whispers of the bullies standing in the hallway. Metal slides against metal as the classroom door opens to reveal the target of their cruel game. Mockery fills the air when the popular girl loudly asks if everyone can smell the stench of the toilet nearby. Cruel jokes fly across the room as they claim the girl must have drenched herself in filth for some attention. One girl pokes her forehead and calls her a total nuisance before the entire class joins in the bullying. Silence is her only response despite the constant insults being thrown at her face like sharp and jagged rocks. A sharp slap echoes through the hallway as the bully screams that this girl is a total psycho for ignoring her today. Pure irritation fills the blonde girl's face because she hates how the victim doesn't even react to the physical pain. Taunting words about her older sister fill the air as the crowd watches this cruel display of power in the bathroom. Those demonic purple eyes glow with a cold intensity as the bullies joke about the stench of the dirty toilet water. Sharp scissors and stationery sit on the desk while the mean girl promises to teach the older sister a lesson as well. The principal's office door stands as a silent witness to the chaos brewing inside the school today. Curious students gather in the hallway to whisper about the mysterious incident that brought everyone together in one room. Jimin stands among the crowd with a terrified expression as she wonders what kind of nightmare her friend is facing now. Tension thickens inside the office as the authority figures suggest that they should finally wrap up this intense meeting. Parents demand an early dismissal because they want to take the girl home to rest after this exhausting ordeal. Nervous smiles appear on the staff's faces as they quickly agree to every single request made by the powerful family today. Suddenly the bully's mother erupts in fury and calls the quiet girl a monster for supposedly swinging a sharp knife. Her teeth clench as the blonde girl tries to maintain her story despite the heavy atmosphere pressing down on her soul now. Pure madness takes over as the bully lunges forward and accuses the protagonist of planning this entire scene today. This frantic girl claims she only wanted to scare her victim before Ion suddenly grabbed her and fell on purpose. Purple eyes glow as the younger sister wonders if they are actually blaming her for the bloody mess at school. Jimin stands there with a bandaged face as everyone demands a sincere apology for the sudden violence. Sudden shouts echo through the office as the adults order the girl to sit down and face the consequences. Silence falls over the parking lot as a sleek black car waits for the family to finish their meeting. Frustration boils over as the mother scolds the girls for failing to behave properly in a public setting. So he tries to defend her sister since the young girl seems completely shaken by the events of the day. Intense greenish eyes lock onto the child as the mother reminds her just how vital she is to this family. Plans change quickly as the woman tells So-hee to head home early and the father handles the teachers. Fatigue settles on his face as the man agrees to prepare the car for their long drive back home. Apologies fall from his lips because he knows his daughters must be absolutely terrified by the chaos today. This fragile piece rests on So-hee's shoulders as her father begs her to watch over Ion for the evening. Dark clouds drift above the school gate as the family prepares to leave this nightmare behind them. Gentle words fail to reach the girl who keeps her head bowed in a state of absolute and chilling silence. Crimson stains mark her lips as the monster inside those purple eyes stares into the depths of the void. Sunlight hits the modern house as a fake cheerful voice begs the girl to smile for the sake of the family. So he suggests they should head inside and ask the housekeeper to prepare something truly delicious for dinner. Suddenly the younger girl stops and wonders if her sister is actually curious about what happened at school today. Quiet footsteps hit the pavement as the protagonist admits she already heard some rumors about the incident. Ion reveals that a bully swung a sharp blade because that girl was talking trash about her precious older sister. Madness reflects in her eyes as she explains how she framed the bully to make it look like a physical attack. Confusion strikes So-hee as she stands there trying to process this terrifying and twisted confession from her sibling. Her smile remains bright as the monster claims she can handle any pain but will never forgive her sister's enemies. Fear paralyzes the older girl as she realizes the depth of the darkness hiding behind that sweet and innocent face. Rain falls around Ion, who stands alone in the shadows while checking her phone for more information on her targets. Purple eyes flare with a demonic light as she promises to never let those pathetic humans escape her wrath. Whispers from the past return as someone wonders if that chilling and cold gaze ever makes her feel truly terrified. Dark energy surrounds the younger sister as she warns the protagonist to stay away from people who harbor bad intentions. This bond feels like a curse since they are the only ones left in this world who truly belong together forever. Flashbacks show the two girls as children crying after a violent encounter that left everyone in the house shaken. Young So-hee lies to her mother about a simple prank gone wrong just to protect the monster hiding in their home. So-hee begs her mother not to be angry because she wants to protect her sister from any more trouble today. Mom gazes down and reminds the girls that they must always stay together as each other's only family in this world. A strange thought crosses her mind as she wonders if she truly heard those terrifying words from earlier this morning. Darkness blankets the room as she whispers into the phone to keep her friend from feeling any more unnecessary fear. Thoughts of her sister's unstable state consume her mind since the events at school left everyone feeling totally drained. Movement near the entrance catches her attention and she spots a single glowing eye watching her every move from the hall. That demonic purple light flares through the darkness as the monster peers into the room with an icy and vacant stare. Adrenaline surges through her body as she gasps at the sight of her sister standing there like a ghost in the shadows. The intruder enters the room and claims she only came to offer a sincere apology for her rude behavior during the day. Questions burn inside her mind because it seems very strange for anyone to visit in the middle of this dark night. Soft words fall from her lips as the younger girl promises to never startle her dear sister like that ever again tonight. A chilling smile creeps onto her face since she prepares to expose that she heard every single word of the conversation. Cold instructions echo in the room as the monster warns her to speak much more quietly when she is using the phone. Panic rises as her friend Jimin continues to ask what happened and the phone sits heavy in her trembling hand right now. Icy fingers end the call quickly since she realizes that her life depends on ending this conversation immediately. The digital clock hits 2 in the morning as the rest of the world sleeps in a heavy and terrifyingly silent darkness. Cold feet in blue slippers move across the floor without making a single sound to alert the girls sleeping inside the room. A dark silhouette looms over the bed and watches the protagonist with a gaze that belongs to a predator hunting its prey. Thin fingers slowly reach out toward the glowing smartphone left beside the sleeping girl on the soft white pillow today. Private messages from Jimin appear on the screen revealing her deep worries about the true nature of this twisted sibling. Purple demonic eyes flare with pure malice as the monster laughs at the secret conversation hidden inside the device now. So-hee remains completely unaware of the danger because she is currently lost in a deep and exhausted state of slumber. Moonlight hits the room where the demon stands tall holding the phone like a trophy after invading her sister's privacy.